At this moment, people are watching, and there is a headline statement that the growth has gone up to 8.2%, exceptionally high, and at the same time, the dollar has slipped to 91. The dollar was at 62 when this new government took over, and now it is 91. No one will say that it is wrong, but it happened so when there was a UPA government headed by Dr. Manmohan Singh, the learned economist. The rupee has fallen to 54, and there was a noise that if the rupee falls, it means the government does not know anything, doing any good thing in the interest of the people. It is not. Basically, in economic situation, there are three things which are to be controlled, and all the three cannot be controlled: interest rate, exchange rate, and inflation. If you will try to hold two, then the third will slip. Sometimes three are three are also out of hand. But ever since the financial crisis or exchange crisis happened in 1990, not due to the fault of anyone, it was a old style of functioning, resulted in little liberalization and external commercial borrowing. The exchange crisis happened in 1991, but it was his high wisdom, that is of Dr. Manmohan Singh, who tied over these difficulties and ushered the economy into LPG, that is the liberalization, privatization, and globalization, due to which the shining which everyone is seeing, it has started happening in 1990 when the government has liberalized the economy. Liberalization means that relaxing the rules of trade and allowing the private investment to go on, and at the same time, that is floating exchange rate, allowing the export to go on. So all this, in fact, was done at that time at in the Congress government headed by Mr. P.V. Narasimha Rao, who was a master of 17 languages. We should not forget, because at every point in time in any big government and in the country of 144 crore people, there are visionary, there are wise, there are others also. But the situation changes. How the situation is changes, that is because these were the beginning days in 1990 when we have emerged out of crisis, and therefore new system was developed, foreign exchange rate was developed, interest rate fix was not there at that time, and therefore everything had to change, and it is taking change every time. So when the UPA left it in 2014, the economy was not in a dire state. It was quite healthy. There was no issue of foreign exchange crisis. Of course, in 2013, when there was a taper tantrum, the United States financial crisis, and the $85 billion printing every month, these were to be rolled down, and therefore the crisis emerged. But Raghu Ram Rajan brought $35 billion to keep the exchange rate stable, and it was brought to 62 after it has fallen to 64, 65. So the days had passed, and immediately the new government has come in 2014. Now the situation, if you will see, time there was a tendency of attracting the private investment because the government out of its own income could do very little to do for the Manrega, fertilizer subsidy, and petroleum subsidy. That was the situation. And that time, since the dollar was falling, the global crude oil prices were at peak, that is $130 per barrel. So therefore, the government continued with the subsidy so that the consumers are not harmed. So that was an exceptional situation, that the dollar has fallen, the oil prices has gone up, and we were importing, and therefore there was inflation also, because the import was more than the export. By now the export would have been created better than what it has been created now. The export, in fact, is now poorly performing, but the private investment is muted. The government is spending 12 lakh crores as a capital expenditure, and this is where we see that the expressways, trains, and railways and airports are being built. It is yet to be commented whether we have the utility of these airports or these are getting closed also. There are reports that some of the national law are dysfunctional, minimum facilities are not there, teachers are not paid, and similarly All India Institute of Medical Sciences have been built up, and there is a boasting. The government boasts that so many medical colleges have been built, and these were the number of medical colleges at the time of the Congress government. So there is no comparison at time, because something which is not contemporary should not be compared, and there is a lag. The other government would have not sit idle, they would have also been working, and there would have been different result. Now the government has come, it's okay, but we cannot wipe off what has been done previously. The public sectors were created at that time because the resource constraints were there. It is how the Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru has brought the collaboration project, 5 steel plants, IITs in collaboration, and all that. This is how the India was built from scratch. But the public sectors which have been built at that point in time are still in existence. Rather, these are being these are being monetized at present, like the GAIL pipeline, and some other assets are also being sold. LIC is completely in the hands of Adani, that is the private. The situation, in fact, has remained the same. Public sector are still functioning. Many Navratan and Navratan are still giving good results. Their profit is very high. They were allowed, they were restrained that they should not incur losses, and they should have to be independent. Otherwise, the government can sell them at any point in time. Nothing has happened since then. No reforms in banking sector has taken place, simply because simply now what has been happening is that the government has started doing started giving the doles and freebies in every elections, and the revenue loss is there. And when the agricultural laws could not be implemented, then the government immediately announced Kisan Samman Nidhi, whereby 6,000 are given to the farmers after every 3 months. This will not raise their income, and it will not mitigate the poverty at all. So with this style of functioning, there is no structural reform happened after that. GST was about to be implemented in 2008 when the Chidambaram was the finance minister, And digitization would have automatically come when the new technology come, like the MRIs and CT scans, which come 30 years before in the developed countries, and these come 30 years later. Definitely, when the digitization was at the peak, then the other government would have done it. And with this digitization, who would have benefited? This is the public. So UPI and other platform would have got developed at that point in time. So, in order to curb the employment, the government has created mudra so that the people or the unemployed people could be given loan from 50,000 to 2 lakhs for setting up their own business, like papad making, like tea making, like pakoda making, and all that. What is the fate of that? The government itself will tell, because how much the banks under stress, and how much it is the recovery, and how many of the enterprises are successful. These, there is no account for that, and nobody will say on that, because these are just a very tricky cases and time consuming cases. Even the opposition would not like to study and point out. Now the person is hurt when you say that कि जब जब रुपया गिरता है तो गवर्नमेंट की साख गिरती है. This was spoken when Dr. Manmohan Singh was the prime minister. I I want to tell, being an economist, I want to tell that this time the rupee has breached a level of 90, and there is no noise, there is no cry at all. The reason is that the knowledgeable people know that why the rupee has fallen. There is a slip in the foreign policy due to which it has fallen, simply because the wholesale price index was falling down. Wholesale price index has been falling down for the last 2 years, because the commodity prices across the world are cheaper. The economies are not growing to that extent. Europe is in slow mode. USA is in slow mode. China is in a slow mode. The commodity prices are cheap. Therefore, the oil prices are also not very high. It is $60 per barrel. And the government is buying at $27 per barrel from Russia. So that is another saying, and it is a different thing, despite the liter and 29 uh, then we are seeing that why the rupee has slipped, whereas there is no benefit given to the consumer, because the consumers have not been given the benefit of the slow prices. The inflation would have negative, and when the inflation is negative, then it is called deflation. And even now we are at a stage of deflation, and in the deflation everything is stalled, investment remains muted, no investment, because the demand is not there. When the demand is not there, so when the demand is not there, the inflation will come down. And even now the inflation is 0.5%, and this inflation is 2%, because when from the night the deflator, and the deflator this time is too minimal, that is, it is 0.5%, and it has given the real growth rate of 8.2%. Now the government should tell that RBI in fact has a mandate of 2 to 6%, and people are waiting for the interest rate to come down so that the stock market can go up. But whether the interest rate will be further reduced, I think very honestly and from the theory of the textbook and practically, this interest rate should be raised, and then the people will be up in the arms, will say that how the interest rates have gone up. Now, interest rates in fact favor the house constructions, automobile purchase, so many things are there which favor the lower interest rates. But when the consumers will see that the interest rates are not there, then the government will have to face their resentment that why the interest rate have not been reduced, the inflation has reduced. If the inflation is reduced, the people should remember that then definitely the investment will be not be there, because the demand is not there in the economy. Then definitely the investment will remain low, and then again crisis, next time there will be a crisis of growth. So this is how the government is doing. And especially this time, the commodity prices were low, the demand is not very high, the commodity prices were low, and fuel prices are under control, simply because the vegetable prices have gone down drastically, which have bleeded the farmers also. The inflation overall has gone down, due to which the growth rate has jumped. Now, when this growth rate has jumped to 8.2%, but nominal growth rate has fallen to 8.7%, definitely the tax collection will go down. When the tax collection will go down, then we will have a different set of problem. This the government should ask itself. The problem will be that the fiscal deficit would be higher, because the government will not able to manage that much of capital expenditure. Even revenue expenditure, there will be a shortfall, and in this revenue expenditure, definitely the subsidy on urea and all that will be reduced. But at the same time, you will see that across the states like Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, Rajasthan, the money is floundered, is squandered away, and there the benefit to women is given. And now we are seeing that this women section is the votary of this government. They are coming in the excess amount. Similarly, 500 subsidy is given to the women, 9 lakh women in Haryana, because last time when type of revenue expenditure is being, one should view it very carefully before it is there. Because if you will create a hype, the people will, and then this is not visible to when the rupee has breached 90, weakness in the economy, weakness in the is not able to decide that which type of states countries are with the United States. United States is the old friend for the last 2.5 decades, and it is taking the maximum import from India. Therefore, the earning was good. This time, when the deficit for a long time, and there is a crisis, local tariff, because earlier they were charging very nominal tariff from import. So they want to control the trade deficit, and therefore to stabilize the dollar 4%. So we were taking the goods at some 5 is reverse. They say that they will charge 25% tariff, and at the same time 25% tariff will be the penalty because they are buying the Russian oil. Now this has to be very logically thought, and how it happens is that the whether we can import from Russia, can buy, the dollar cannot be a hegemon currency every time. Therefore, the Republican government is irritated that why they are buying the Russian oil, with which the Russia is using and causing some destructions to Ukraine, and the supply chains are also disturbed. So they are also very correct. But it is important for the government that under foreign policy, with which government they would like to maintain the strategic alliance, whether they can be benefited with Russia, or they can be benefited with China, or they can be benefited with US, has been done correctly. No one to comment it, but for this reason the export has reduced. When exporters have raised their voice, that we are unable to export, how much tax credit, how much other bank credit could government could have given, it could not be decided in 6 months. And ultimately the RBI thought that they can depreciate, and they have depreciated deliberately by 2 rupees, and so that the export can be cleared. But the export fall is still there. It shortfall is about 12%, due to which that is the rupee decline also has not helped in that particular situation, because the interest rate, exchange rate, and inflation are in the hands of the RBI. So RBI does its monetary action, fiscal action has to be done by the government. So this is how the two policies work together to give the results of the growth and investment and all that. This everyone should understand. So as such, we don't see that the rupee will is going to slip from 91 and will it go to 100 or 110, as the people in the social media have started criticizing. So that time also, when the rupee was falling, and when in 2013 or 2012, the people were saying कि जब पैसा, जब एक्सचेंज रेट गिरता है, रुपी गिरता है, नेपाल का नहीं गिरता, भूटान का नहीं गिरता, तो इसकी साख खत्म होती है। तो क्या साख पूरी मनमोहन सिंह की खत्म हो गई? कभी भी पूरी खत्म नहीं होगी, बिकॉज ही वाज ए स्टेट्समैन, ही वाज ए पैट्रियट, and therefore everything which was done by the late Dr. मनमोहन सिंह, श्रद्धा सुमन उनको समर्पित करते हैं। तो हम एक जो those who have gone into the grave, first of all we should not curse them also. According to the rule, according to their kingdom, when they were the premier, they had done their best. Every premier come and does its best country. We should remember it. So what trick is being played by the government, the people should see it also. Otherwise we will be confused that which government was good, which government was bad. The government keep changing sides, but the benefits sometimes flow in a different direction, sometimes flow in a different direction. We are in the midst of poverty, we are in the midst of hunger. So what decisions the government is taking, these are all correct. That there are many ways to run the government, there are many ways to run the economy, so nothing is wrong in that. But we should not criticize our predecessors. What is the state of affairs of education at this point in time? What is the state of affairs of private medical colleges? Whether one would like to see in it, whether the standard was like this that point in time in medical colleges, or people were going abroad to do the medicine in China, Philippines, and Eurasia and all that? No, they were not going at all. So now why the people are going abroad? Why the education has not been brought up? Why the education standard has not been brought up? So nobody will question it, because it is a big country. There is some shortfall, and sometimes there are advantages also. So everything goes on. Now since the foreign exchange is available, the people are leaving for BTech courses there in United States, MBA courses in Australia, Canada, and England. No harm at all, because that time the foreign exchange was not available, so there was a difficulty in going abroad, and the people were satisfied here, and there was equal distribution of, that is, the courses also. The people were studying as much history as they were studying the biology, they were studying mathematics as much they are studying the engineering. Now the courses choice have changed, the ecosystem has changed. Now the demand of engineers was required, so that has now attracted the people to go abroad and do something possible to get the employment. So no harm at all. But what is that the government should not hide what is actually happening, why the inflation has been brought down, why it could not be controlled, why the export of onion was banned, and the quality onion is sold at 10 rupees, 15 rupees per kg. Whether the farmers are not bleeding, they are bleeding. So consumers, those who are casting their votes, most of the times, now this onion is coming from Maharashtra, that is red onion. So that way the elections have already been over there a year before. Now these are the elections there in the West Bengal. So there the consumers are shown that, see, the prices are damn low prices. But what has been done in between? Whether the crops are giving yield 3 times than earlier? No, it is the same yield. But all of a sudden, when they have experienced the export ban, the export ban has caused the prices lower. Export is less, so therefore all domestic supply is there. When the domestic supply is huge, the demand cannot be that high, because the people all of a sudden will not start consuming the onion for in substitute of vegetable. So therefore the prices are low. So this situation should have been averted. It has created a problem for RBI. Now the people will doubt the RBI that they have not reduced the interest rate. Principally, they should not reduce the interest rate because the inflation is too low. So rather, the people will see that the interest rate are reduced because the inflation has fallen down to 0.5%. The mandate is 2 to 6%. So RBI, if it goes above 6%, then it reduces the interest, it hikes the interest rate. And if it has come down to 2%, below 2%, then definitely it should hike the interest rate. So the investment scenario going next year will remain muted, and how the private investment will pan out, that will be seen there the next year. But the government will have to cut down its capital expenditure, simply because the nominal tax collection has fallen down by 2%, because the inflation rate has fallen down by 2%. This is the situation which is happening, but no one is criticizing it. So we should understand very clearly whether the infrastructure development is has to be there, or first of all human development has to be there. To my mind, the human development should have gone parallel with the infrastructure development. If the previous government have not created that much infrastructure, then the private investment was coming. When the government jobs, that is the jobs are created, that way the consumption go up. When the consumption will go up, definitely the investment will be better. When the investment will be better, the tax collection will also go up. When the tax collection will go up, the government will allocate more capital expenditure. But all of a sudden, if you have allocated 12.5 lakhs crore on this particular this capital expenditure, definitely the infrastructure will be very shining. We will see better roads and all that. But this is a different question, that who are using that roads. Barring the SUVs, no one is using this expressway, because there are chances of accident there. So that way, still it is not to be criticized. After all, these are the assets built in the country itself. One should praise it. But I mean to say that there are different ways of running the economy. Someone can run this way, some can one run this way. This depends upon the judicious thinking of the government, that which way. Not because of the popularity, not because of that we will able to attract the votes of the people, and will able to show that in all the states that BJP government is functioning. That is a different thing. But when the people will lose in the days to come in terms of healthcare or education or housing and all that, then whether they would able to say something in the past, no. The damage which has been caused will remain with them only. They will not able to say. So therefore, the if you want to achieve one thing, it is a law of economics, then you will have to forego the other thing. It is the law of scarcity. If people know about the economics, that if you want to have one thing, you will have to forego the other thing. You cannot have the two things together. So therefore the government will also give you one thing, not the other thing. Either there will be human development or there will be an economic development. But human development is far more durable than the economic development, because the economic development is useful when the people have got a comfortable life, so that whatever is built, it is also used by everyone, not by the elite class. There are many other things which are not comparable. This is simply that how you run the system. It is your choice sometimes. But but my way is not highway. Remember that whether if you are giving the doles and freebies to the people to win the election, this is your highway, this is your way, but it is not highway. Highway is always judicious, that taking into confidence the all secretaries of the ministries, the members of the planning commission, economic advisors, and all that, RBI. So they should be given some freedom to work on. After all, we are a big country employing lot of bureaucrats. They are working in the field. Their guidance should be taken, and how to develop it. It is not always the political masters that they will make the plan and then they will run the economy in the haphazard way. This has also to be seen. So it is better that the government should introspect that what is the flow in the economy at this point in time, and they should tell to the people that the rupee will not slip from here. Rupee has fallen down to 91 because of this reason, because RBI is allowing the rupee to depreciate. Thank you.